I know in the initial few years, there were some concerns. I have received your delegations. We have tried to address some of the issues. On some of the issues, there was a difference of opinion. I don't know finally what happened about that money being parked in the escrow account. It still is. Money being parked in the escrow account so that construction doesn't get stopped halfway through. And when I go to my own constituency of North Mumbai, I can see so many projects half done, half finished. But most of them, when I find out, they are all pre-RERA projects. So in a way, you will appreciate that a lot of the disciplines that were brought in were good for honest and sincere developers like all of you. That's right. It's brought transparency, it's brought certainty, it's brought... I myself, incidentally, have suffered, and I think many of the friends on the stage know it, and some I can see in the front row also know it, but the person who made me suffer, I don't think is in this room. But when I bought my home in 2010, and it was ready, fully furnished by 12, end of 12, I could not enter into my own home for nearly 5 years or 6 years after that because it didn't have an occupation certificate. That was the level of uncertainty that buyers used to face. And I'm delighted that RERA has changed all of this. We now have a much more honest regime, and thankfully, with a lot of the unscrupulous developers, I believe, out of the system, now bankers are also getting more confidence in financing the sector. If at all you feel that there needs to be a bigger thrust, government will be happy to engage with CREDAI, with your various associations. Is it a national problem? Is it a problem because of certain areas not understanding? If there are any RBI problems, I am happy to discuss it and take it up both with RBI and the Finance Ministry, because in some sense, as industry minister, you belong to me also.
CREDAI is completing 25 years in this year only. So it is an annual event. Every time we go to the city where you can learn about the development, you can learn about the master planning, you can a lot of things, and definitely the international speakers on the different level, as you've seen in last 2 days. There are different topics which impact our businesses and also the personal things, like just a session concluding on the family business, generation business, and public speaking, and good practices, marketing, AI, what is the impact of the AI in coming future. A lot of topics which generally in India it is missing. So it's a great learning every time when we visit, and especially come to the Sydney. Sydney, as you see, what a beautiful city, what a beautiful infrastructure, the public transport. It's a 20-minute city. How they manage it, how we are facing in Bangalore, Delhi, Madras, everywhere a choke of the traffic, how they beautifully manage the public transport, the interconnectivity through tunnels, and from one point to another point you can reach within 20 minutes. This is how beautifully done, and you are sitting in such a beautiful Darling Harbour area, where number of hotels and the government is provide such a beautiful conference spaces. So these things need to do in India to become a विकसित भारत, जो हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का सपना है कि इसको डेवलपिंग टू डेवलप कन्वर्ट करना है. तो these kind of master planning, these kind of professionalism, this required for Indian future cities. So this is all is the theme behind doing this type of conclave, Natcons in different city of the world. Beautiful infrastructure, buildings, and how to integrate the public areas into the high commercial development. I think these are something which you can say the great learning. We can collaborate with the local architects, because now a lot of international architects are working in India, and the senior staff of a lot of companies, senior staff is also coming with this conference to यहाँ का जो भी बेस्ट चीज़ है उसको हम वहाँ पर अपना इंटीग्रेट कर सकें. जस्ट यू सी द चैम्पियंस लगून, अभी जस्ट सेशन बिफोर दे आर मेकिंग देयर लगून्स विद इन द प्रोजेक्ट्स, जहाँ पे हमारा सी अवेलेबल नहीं है, वाटर अवेलेबल नहीं है. तो व्हाट इज़ जो है ऑलरेडी ए सक्सेसफुल मॉडल इन द डिफरेंट सिटीज़ ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, उसको इंडिया में कैसे ला सकते हैं. तो दीज आर समथिंग जो है अभी अपने को जो है बियॉन्ड वो नॉर्मल हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स या ग्रुप हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स से ऊपर आना पड़ेगा. एंड द पीपल आर ऑल्सो अप्रिशिएटिंग द इंटरनेशनल डिज़ाइनिंग, इंटरनेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, पब्लिक एरियाज, इसकी वैल्यू करने लगे लोग. जिस तरह से जो है इंडियन मार्केट बिहेव कर रही है, स्पेशली द जनरेशन जो अब जैसे हम ZG जनरेशन बोल रहे हैं, 2000 के बाद जो लोग पैदा हुए हैं वो अब मकान ख़रीदने की सोच रहे हैं, या अगले आने वाले 5 से 10 साल के बाद दे आर इन द कैपेसिटी टू बाय ए न्यू होम. They are all looking these type of facilities within their project also. तो we as a real estate body हमें तैयार रहना होगा कि लोग क्या चाहते हैं. तो वही एक इसका प्रोसेस भी कह सकते हैं कि अगर लोग जो चाह रहे हैं, जो वर्ल्ड में आज से 10 साल 20 साल पहले हुआ, वो इंडिया में हम वापस कैसे लेके आ सकते हैं. So this is all the basic theme behind all these things.
In ways, Sydney is blessed by a fantastic coastline, which has been so beautifully explored. And you remember Darling Harbour, where we were, close to around 5,000 hotel rooms, right where the ICC hall is, and still that entire green open space, only because of the well-utilized, I would like to say, design principles of making an integrated development between roads, buildings, the way the entire thing flows. I think there was huge learning for us, especially cities like Mumbai can develop so much better if we kind of take a cue out of these kind of town plannings that have taken place internationally. And we were fortunate to have our minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, also attend the conference, and I had the opportunity in about 5 minutes before that to quickly show him the infrastructure development and how a beautiful integrated infrastructure allows for, while it's absolutely dense area, it still allows for a feeling of openness. You remember that entire big public space that was there with a huge, I would like to say, a performance stage that was put up out there. I mean, it was just so perfect. I think, and the very fact, the way the harbour was developed, you saw all those boats, yachts parked out there, which kind of leads us to at least imagine that if the Mumbai coastline could be used similarly, one is we could have, beyond the coastal road and beyond the metro, we'd even have, the ability of people using the waterways. And why not, right? This morning I was reading, the development of the Mumbai airport. And we had, the officers speak about how having a creek next to the new airport will also allow for water transportation of goods, etc. We have to use all available means to kind of create better developments in a particular area. And not only that, I had the good fortune of a friend of mine hosting me over a lunch. And I think, he just came to the harbour, picked me up from there, and we went on his little speedboat and we had lunch. I mean, all these are experiences. A city is all about the experiences created, right? If you have these kind of experiences, the city becomes a lot more interesting. People come to the city. There's a lot more life that is brought into the city. And by that life and the city becoming interesting, more and more people, tourism, beyond just, people coming to live and work out there, also become a reality. And I don't know if you noticed, but there was a data center very close to our hotel where we were, between the ICC and our hotel. There was a data center. It was right in the heart of that entire district. But I bet you till at least I was told it was a data center, I'd not even realized. I just thought it's one more kind of, structure right there. So lots of learnings that we brought back from Sydney. Of course, that also adds to our enthusiasm. It also kind of opens up, our mindset itself. I had the opportunity of visiting Bondi Beach, where there's a seamless integration in residential areas, a lot of eateries, I would like to say, or evening recreational spaces, clubs or pubs, and everything was so brilliantly put out there that though again there was a lot of people visiting the place, there was a lot of easy, smooth, traffic flow, etc. I guess all of these things put along with the fact that once we bring in good development, we also kind of got to continually educate on the civic side our population to get the most out of it. So again, I had reservations, like I told you initially, about going all the way to Sydney for 3 days. But I must say, one of my best trips in those 3.5 days that I was there, the learning was immense, and I've come back richer in knowledge.
I think it is very easy for us to believe that tech applies only to certain elements of real estate. But let me tell you that right from project planning and design to procurement, construction technologies, and operations to after sales, we find that tech is all permeating and all applicable across the life cycle of construction. And that's where I think we will see how we can be safer, as I said, be faster, be cheaper, and be more profitable. That more than 90% of our industry believes that we need to engage with tech. Having said that, what is most interesting is close to 60% of the participants did not have access to tech. And that's somewhere where we felt 8 years back, and I'll come to it when we started Brigade and the REAP program, on how we try to solve this problem of access to technology through tech startups, right? But there's also good news. 20 to 25% of the participants do have access to tech and are using tech. And the areas where we see implementation of tech is relatively the low-hanging fruits, which is in sales or in AI and ML, and for risk management. But there are still great parts of the value chain, as I said in my previous slide, right from design to planning to procurement to construction and post-construction, where we can all implement and introduce tech in our day-to-day work. Once again, emphasizing we become safer, faster, cheaper, and more profitable. CREDAI is saying that if India has a 2070 net zero goal, CREDAI is going to be 2050 net zero, which is a fantastic goal. So cheers to all of you. By 2034, India is going to have this staggering growth rate, right? We're going to build 100 million houses. You are all going to build 100 million houses. Nearly 3 billion commercial. And I'm not even talking about the other kind of buildings here, just commercial spaces, close to 3 billion square feet. India is getting closer and closer to being on the top in terms of cement consumption, right? And the market is a fantastic market, 1.3 trillion. Again, it's a conservative number. If anything, this number is going to increase. But the most important number you should all pay attention to, that 42.5% of India's population is going to start living in urban centers. You're going to build houses for all of them, right? And it's a staggering thing. In fact, by 2060, we're going to be 65% India is going to be urban. So building urban centers is going to be very, very critical to India. Now, here's the bad news, or the reality, I would say. Of the top 4 greenhouse gas emitting industries in the world, buildings stand either second or third, depending on the situation. They continue to be huge greenhouse gas emitting industry. However, now here's again the opportunity, which is what made us and people like us work in this space is, unlike the other 3, which is energy, transportation, agriculture, buildings have the highest greenhouse gas mitigation potential for the least capital. Why? Because buildings live for 50 years, right? So you build it well, over a 50-year period, you're going to realize positive value out of it. Energy, transportation, agriculture do not have that. That's why there's a huge opportunity of business as well as positive impact.
There are errors people are doing. The first error is error in expectation. Elders have a wrong expectation that young generation should come in and take my legacy forward. It's a wrong expectation. And younger generation has an expectation that outside glamour we should bring inside. Most modern ERP system and most modern website, हमारे जो भी स्टूडेंट्स के फादर हैं ना, वो कहते हैं खर्चे करने के ब्रिलियंट आइडिया लेके आते हैं. So it is not that the legacy is to be given. What is to be given is learning from life. Business is not about product or service. Business is about challenge. खतरों के खिलाड़ी. Dream to have Mount Everest. Doing big things in life. Handling with challenges. And कभी रोने का नहीं. You know, we have a professor who is Parsi, so he puts in this style. Rone ka nahi. It means don't cry. And that's exactly the role model is this community sitting here, who is like cow, who gives everybody's need, and still keeps smiling. This spirit of fighting, this spirit of overcoming the challenges, this spirit of falling and getting up. Think about the year 2000. What a terrible year it was for real estate industry everywhere across. And from there, rising again, this is what is to be given, that we are here to make big things in life. And this you can inculcate to the young generation as early as possible. If they are 5 and 6 year old, it's good to tell them realities of life. If they are 5 and 6 year old, they should know how things work. We tell our students very clearly, be very clear. Elephant is our role model. दिखाने के दांत अलग होते हैं, चबाने के दांत अलग होते हैं. So when we talk about things outside, one thing is what people speak, and another thing is what we have to handle. So when our children learn reality as early as possible, this is where their dream is not to become someone. Their dream is to take this legacy of fighters, challengers, creative constructors, this spirit taking forward.